BigCountryPreps.com. I'm Evan Wren, and this is the Countdown to Two-A-Days series, our daily look at an area football team and the key questions that we'll be answering about that team and our upcoming August 20th preseason football preview here at Big Country Preps. I'm here with my partner, Dan Youngblood, via Zoom. And Dan, today we're going to be talking about the Cross Plains Buffaloes.
Yeah, and this is an interesting year for Cross Plains, which for the first time in a long time will have a new coach. Coach Daniel Purvis has moved on to Plains, and they've promoted defensive coordinator Jared Sanderson. So they're hoping to kind of keep that train rolling from what Coach Purvis built. But so there are going to be some questions that this team will have to answer in Coach Sanderson's first year, and we'll discuss those in just a bit. But it should be a fun year for the Cross Plains Buffaloes.
All right, before we do that, we need to remind you to please hit the subscribe button. Also, after that, please hit that little bell so you get notifications each and every time that Big Country Preps comes up with a new video. And with that, Dan, key questions. Off the top of your head, what is question number one that you want answered for the Cross Plains Buffaloes going into 2025?
I guess the biggest question I have is just how much change will we actually see? Like I said, Coach Sanderson has been on that staff. He's been a major part of Coach Purvis's staff, obviously, as a coordinator and is almost kind of his coach's right hand man, or one of them anyway, with Coach Chad Barron. So he's been around. I'm wondering how much their system's going to stay in place. I'd imagine the defense will look a lot like it has, and that has been a strength across Plains the last several years. But offensively, are we going to see any changes there? What kind of philosophy changes are you going to have? Anytime you have a coaching change, there's going to be some subtle differences, even when you promote on staff. But I'm interested to see how much of this train they're just going to try to keep rolling, and how many kind of subtle changes will be brought. That's going to be a fun part to see this year with Cross Plains.
Well, it was a system that worked for them. They really had very little at all in the way of success before Coach Purvis got there. They hired in-house. I would expect them to retain much of that system, which was clearly working for them. Um, my question is, their new quarterback. They're going to have a new quarterback. How quickly will he jump in and be successful? In all likelihood, it looks like Landry Saville will be their new quarterback. Um, but whoever gets that position, if he performs, this team has the experience coming back, especially on the defensive side, to move ahead, to take a step forward and be better than they were last year. But the quarterback position is going to be a key.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a really interesting part of it because Cade Purvis had been their quarterback since he was a freshman. So he had some injury issues, and they had somebody else step in a couple of years ago that played some as a reserve. But this is going to be the first time in 5 years where they've had a new starting quarterback. So that will be interesting to watch. The final question I have is one that I think will be really interesting to follow. And that's if this Cross Plains team can take advantage of what is a district in flux for a lot of the programs in it. In District 7 2A Division 2, you've got Albany at the top. I think everybody kind of acknowledges they're the favorite. But after that, Miles lost a huge and really important senior class. They're going to be kind of reloading this year. You've got several others with new coaches. When you look at Winters, you look at Roscoe. Hamlin's a program that has a lot of experience back, and they have some continuity there. So I think that they're going to be expecting to take a step up. But with the talent that Cross Plains returns, and they've got 12 of their 18 lettermen back, including 7 offensive and 10 defensive starters, can they kind of take advantage of a district that will have some teams kind of rebuilding a little bit this year? If they can, I think you could see Cross Plains maybe sneak into that second or third playoff spot, which I think would be a big deal for this program. Give them a chance to win a playoff game, which I think would be a huge deal for them. So that's something I'm going to be watching just to see if with a coach who's been in that program and been a part of the build, if they can kind of eliminate some of the transition, some of the growing pains, and really take advantage of the returning talent they have, and maybe get a little bit higher playoff seed. That'll be interesting to
Yeah,
watch.
the door is open in that district. At least on paper, it looks like it will be.
Mhm.
All right, we're going to take a look at Cross Plains' schedule here in a moment. But before we do, we need to thank some of our sponsors. Beginning with For the Love of the Game Broadcasting and our old friend Terry Slavens, owner of K-Lakes 93.5 FM out of Brackenridge, 97.7 FM KATX out of Eastland, Classic Country AM 1330 out of Graham, 94.7 FM KWKQ out of Graham, KROO 1430 AM out of Bracken, KWBY 98.5 FM out of Ranger. That is For the Love of the Game Broadcasting. Also, Rob Durham, sales consultant at Bayer Chevrolet Buick Cadillac up in Breckenridge. If you're in the market for a new vehicle or a used vehicle, call Rob. He's one of the nicest guys you'll ever want to meet. Give him a shout at 254 559 2266. That's Rob Durham up at Bayer Chevrolet Buick Cadillac in Breckenridge. And finally, Cavalry Resources and Construction, located up in Breckenridge, serving the entire big country, offering custom standing seam roofing made on location and all commercial roofing applications. Give Kobe Walker a shout at 254 246 5546. That is Cavalry Resources and Construction in Breckenridge. All right, and with that, we're going to take a look at the 2025 Cross Plains schedule, beginning with the non-district portion. Looking at it overall, Dan, to me, it looks like a challenging non-district schedule, which affords them the opportunity to show some improvement. Not necessarily a bunch of wins. I mean, there's some talented teams in there in that group that they're facing, but there's opportunity for wins, opportunities to take a look at the game film and improve. They start at Haskell on August 29th. That's going to be a road date. They will host Abilene TLCA on September 5th. A difficult home date with Heiko on September 12th. That's a good Heiko football team. They will face a bigger school from Merkel on the road on September 19th, and then a road date against the playoff team from Sterling City on the 29th of September. Again, there's opportunities for wins, but there's enough of a challenge to improve.
Yeah, I agree. They'll have to play well to get those wins in a lot of those cases. As with Albany and all of the teams in this district, they'll have their open date on October 3rd before opening district October 10th with a home game against Roscoe. They will follow that with a road date at Miles on the 17th of October. Come back home to play Albany on the 24th, host Hamlin on October 31st, and then they will wrap up their district schedule at Winters on November 7th. So this is, I think, an interesting schedule. Like you said, it's going to be some challenges up and down it, but some opportunities for wins and opportunities, I think, to get into the playoffs there with a decent seed if they play well.
I view Cross Plains as a playoff team, a team that, if they get the quarterbacking, can be better than last year in a district that's in flux, as you say. Um, Game of the year. I'm looking at one. I look at Albany as a clear favorite in the league, but I look at that game at home against Hamlin as a big game. That I think that's a big game for both clubs. Possibly that ends up giving one of the two giving the winner second place. That's possible.
Yeah, that Halloween home game against Hamlin is a big one. I think also those first two. The thing about this district is you've got a lot of teams that are there's a lot of unknowns with a lot of these teams, but that Roscoe and Miles right off the bat, those are going to be big games for Cross Plains. We'll find out exactly how good this team is right there with the start of district with that home date against Roscoe and then the trip to Miles. I think both those teams are probably due at least a little bit of a step back, just with Roscoe with the new coach, and then in Miles, you're talking about again a lot of roster turnover. But those are going to be interesting games for this Cross Plains team. We will learn exactly how good this team is and kind of what their playoff hopes are, or at least seeding hopes are right then.
All right, and with that, it's about time to wrap up this edition of the Countdown to Two-A-Days series, the Cross Plains Buffaloes. But before we do that, we want to remind you folks to please join us on August the 20th for our preseason preview, which is an annual thing, and it's the most comprehensive look at big country football that you're going to get in the area. We've got features. We've got obviously team previews. We'll have opinion pieces. We will have stats. We will have standings, the whole shebang, everything you're going to want in a football preview involving big country area football. So please join us on August the 20th.
In the meantime, thank you for joining us for this episode of our Countdown to Two-A-Days series. And make sure you come back tomorrow when we feature the Hamlin Pied Pipers here at BigCountryPreps.com.